Okay, so let me move back over to my document camera. Oh, there's my arm. So I've gotten quite a few emails, and you guys, most of you don't have a TI calculator at home. We haven't been using the TI calculators that much since we don't have them. So I'm going to go ahead and use Desmos. This is going to be a lot easier. You're going to almost say, well, why do we have to use the TI calculator? Typically, the Desmos calculator won't be available for any standardized test. It's always going to be a calculator kind of like the TI calculator. So at some point you will have to learn these steps, but since we're just doing an introduction right now, I'm just going to use Desmos to just get the general idea. So I'm going to move this, actually I'm going to minimize that. And so I'm going to use that first equation that we used. So I went to desmos.com, hold on, desmos.com. When it pops up, it's going to say start graphing, so hit start graphing. Once you've done that, I like to change the settings, but we'll do that in just a second. So we're going to do y equals, then I'm going to hit parentheses. Actually, I'll just pull up this keyboard. Parentheses, and then I'm going to hit x on my computer, or you can hit x right here, minus 7, close parentheses, then squared, and then minus 3. Notice that gives us our graph. You can also click and move this around. And then I'm going to change these settings. So I'm going to hit this wrench up here. And I'm going to go for the x-axis. I'm going to have it go from, let's say, -5 to -10. Oh, not -10, sorry, +10. And then I'm going to put step 1. That will make it so that it marks every single one number, or one like scale pretty much. Then I'm going to go from -5 to +10 again, just because this graph is really over here. And then I'm going to put step 1 again. Notice up here at the top it says minor grids. I'm going to deselect that just so that it doesn't have all of those marks everywhere in there. Okay. You can also hit projector mode. That makes the lines darker. I'll do that just for me because so you guys can see it better. And I'm still going to drag it over actually a little bit more. Okay, so now when we look at the items that we need for this stuff, remember zeros is where it's crossing the x-axis. So I'm going to mark, come on, let me mark. So notice this is a 0 and this is a 0. So we actually have 2 of them. But watch what you can do. So I'm going to, oops, darn it, I always click the wrong one. Okay, so now when you click on this, notice it tells you, let me move that over. Notice it tells you the x, so zeros are where it's x equals, and it's 5.268. We'll do 5.268, and we'll just make it round. So the 6 makes the 2 a 3. So it would be x equals 5.3. So that's one of the zeros. Now just click over here and it'll give you the other one. So x equals 8.73, which the 3 would just get dropped off. Okay, so those are the zeros. So that's it. I know that using the TI calculator, you have to go left bound, right bound, all of that, and that becomes an issue. But those are the zeros. It's where it crosses the x-axis. Remember, we also called them roots. In the next set of notes that you're going to take, it's going to be called the solution. But for now, we'll just call it the zeros. Okay, the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. This one is way up here. But again, if you just keep moving your graph around, you can just find it and you can click. So our y-intercept is 46. This graph, it's asking if it has a maximum or minimum. So since it's a lowest point, you would call that a minimum. And then the coordinates of the vertex. Remember, the vertex is where that maximum or the minimum is. So this one is at 7, comma, -3. So I know that we haven't talked about quadratics in a while. I don't know why. Whenever I've done this in Algebra 1, we always do all of the stuff that we did, but we do it right after each other. So for 8th grade Algebra 1 or middle school Algebra 1, we always have to, we split it with Pythagorean theorem and the data unit, and then we come back to quadratics. And that, whenever I originally saw that, I was like, man, that's irritating. But I ended up doing it anyways just because that's what I was told to do. But it has been a while, so I should have done more of a review. Remember, y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Maximum or minimum is that, like, when it looks like, let me find my Post-its. My kids keep coming in here where I have all my school stuff. But this is a minimum on the parabola. This would be a maximum because it has a highest point, and that would be a lowest point. Okay? All right, so let's do another example and find the same things that you need to find on the assignment. So zeros, y-intercept, maximum or minimum. And actually, I'm going to change this problem real quick. So I'm going to put negative x squared and positive 3, just because I want to have something different than the last one. I just made up that problem, so hopefully it works, but we'll see in just a second. Okay, so we have zeros, y-intercept, maximum, minimum, coordinates of the vertex. So I'm going to go over into Desmos, move that, and I'm going to type this out. So I'm going to hit negative x, I'm going to hit squared, I'm going to hit minus 4 plus, 4x plus 3. Okay, so let me move this back out of the way and then move this so we can see what we want to see. Okay, so zeros. So click on this graph where it crosses the x-axis. So we have one at x equals negative 4.64, so just a 4.6, and then we have x equals 0.6. Okay, so those are the two zeros. Okay, now let's do the y-intercept. So where it crosses the y-axis, so that would be 3. This has a maximum because it's the highest point, and the coordinate of the vertex would be right there. So it would be at -2, 7. Okay, so hopefully that makes it seem a lot less stressful, and hopefully that makes it a lot easier for you guys. Sorry again that I did it like that. Let me stop recording.